Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Wrong About Sports. I am cautiously optimistic Bears fan, Brian McDaniel.
And I'm hoping we don't get a false start penalty on this podcast, Vikings fan, Karla Bigham.
And we
And
are
we are wrong
Wrong
about
About Sports.
sports. Oh
Yay!
my goodness.
Uh,
Oh my goodness, Brian.
the Vikings took a page out of the Bears playbook
Yeah.
this weekend and became um, a little penalty prone.
102 yards, Brian. 102 yards, 13 penalties, 3 turnovers. I just 8 false starts at home. At home.
Uh-huh.
I don't know how you win a game because you don't with those kind of statistics. But JJ McCarthy, 20 for 42. Ouch. Ouch. He couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, 248 yards, and he actually had 48, rushing yards. So I don't know. Naylor had himself a game. Naylor had himself a game where he had 5 receptions, 124 yards, as long as a season high, and 1 tutty. But yeah, you can't have 2 interceptions and a fumble, loss of a fumble, and that's going to hurt you. And then Justin Jefferson had 12 targets, 4 receptions, and 37 yards.
Now the Twitterverse isn't just blaming McCarthy for that.
No.
They're saying that Jefferson, who is, the best receiver in the league, I'm not disputing that at all. But they made it sound like Jefferson had a bad game that was
Yep.
on him.
Yeah. And there's clear frustration on this. I mean, it was a close game, close half, first half for sure. And then it just came undone. And these penalties just were a disaster, just a disaster. Aaron Jones was healthy. They just, they started him. He was healthy and Mason, but together, they didn't even break 100 yards rushing. I mean, you obviously you add in McCarthy and they had over 100 yards, but I'm talking about with your running backs. And so like there was no run game. And the passing game was just all over the place. And it might be immaturity by McCarthy of not knowing the pace of the game yet, but like, I mean, and it's like Captain Obvious, but like when you're not settled in that pocket, you just your throws. I mean, he was overthrowing. He was like no idea that he just couldn't connect. And he had a bad game because he couldn't connect. He wasn't settled in that pocket. I think the bad play calling, I mean, it wasn't horrible. It was a little like you had to try to get something going. So I think they were a little sporadic in their play calling is the best I could say. They tried to do a little run game. They tried to do a little short pass, check down stuff. And then they tried to do some long game, clearly with the number of targets that Jefferson had. Wasn't having, dude just could not connect. He was just all over the place. And so our defense, Cashman did well, had quite a few sacks, tackles, sorry, not sacks. They had 1 sack. If you remember last week, they had 10. I mean, and so it just showed you that there was just something off about the game plan. And it started with I think just the offense not being able to get anything going at all. The Bears lost to the same team, the Ravens, right?
Yeah.
So but it's a doable, winnable game by both the Vikings and the Bears. Neither one of these guys should have lost.
And when the Bears played them, Lamar Jackson wasn't back yet. They lost to, Tyler Snoop Huntley as the quarterback. But now the Ravens, when they were losing, obviously Lamar Jackson missed a couple of games.
Right.
But they also their defense was super banged up.
Correct.
A lot of those guys were back for back for the Bears game, and we're back for this game. But with 42 passes by McCarthy, I was watching the Bears game, not the Vikings game, so I didn't
Yeah.
see much of it with my own eyeballs. But the Vikings weren't from behind for
Right.
most of the game,
Right.
so it seems like that was not necessarily the best play calling. And with McCarthy, I mean, you want to give rookies, and this is essentially his rookie year
Yeah.
'cause he was out all last year. You want to give rookies grace, but sometimes somebody just gets it and sometimes they never get it. And I don't want to say that McCarthy doesn't get it, but I think this is one of the problems if you draft a quarterback that didn't have to throw the ball all that much in college. So
True.
he
But
wasn't.
I also will say he's been out majority of this season. This is his fourth game total of playing. And the other thing I will say is like it just feels as if he's just not getting out there and enjoying playing the game. And it just feels like he's being overmanaged. I guess like that's the best I can say. And, like that's how I feel. And here's the thing. It was 27-19 Ravens was the final score. A lot of those 27 points were field goals. I mean,
Yeah,
if you played against Tyler Loop, the kicker, um, of the Ravens, like he had a game. And
yeah.
so, I mean, it was a lot of field goals for Loop yesterday. And so, let's not lose to your point. Let's not lose that fact that this was not a huge stellar offensive front from the Ravens, and they kind of stink this year. And so, that's my overall point: is both the Vikings and Bears should have won this game, and it's frustrating, and you can't do that when you have 102 yards worth of 13 penalties and you have 3 turnovers and you're going 20 for 42. Just saying.
Gabe, our very capable producer, said it looked like the Vikings got really bad news right before the game because they're playing sad. Well, you
uh,
know what? If they got bad news, they might want to drown their sorrows out
yes,
with something from our fantastic sponsor, the
correct.
Minnesota Licensed Beverage
Yes,
Association.
yes, they
Uh,
do, they
since
do.
1952, the MLBA has been helping licensed beverage retailers in the state of Minnesota with information resources, educational programs, and government affairs services designed to promote and protect their business. All of the MLBA's member retailers understand that with the MLBA, you are not alone. So when you are out getting your booze for Thanksgiving,
Hmm.
make sure there's an MLBA sticker on your favorite liquor store's door because they're a good Minnesota employer.
You know who the
But
Vikings play next?
boy, who do they? Oh, they
The
play the Bears. They
Bears. So
play
how
the
did the
Bears.
Bears do? How did the Bears do
Well, I mean,
yesterday?
that's a complicated question.
It
How did the
is.
Bears do? Because they're playing the Giants at home. Giants aren't good, but have some talent. So the Bears in the first half absolutely looked like the better team, but
Mhm.
there was some weather, so they weren't kicking field goals because it was windy and snowy, which means
The
it was
Windy City.
it was supposed to be bear weather. They keep talking about the next Bears stadium being a dome, which will be a travesty if they do that. But the Bears in the first half, they went into halftime down 10-7, but they definitely looked like the better team, except the Bears defense is so banged up. They got
Yeah.
PJ Gardner Johnson off the scrap heap 2 weeks ago, and he's all of a sudden like one of their best players, a couple of sacks in those games. But this was not an indication. This was not a game where the Bears were playing poorly. Um,
Mm-mm.
well, I shouldn't say that. Where this was not a game where Caleb Williams was playing poorly.
Not at all.
He actually looked really good.
Yes, he
Um,
did.
but the Bears receivers, man, they had like syrup on their hands and not the sticky kind. I don't even know why. I don't know why I would use that. Uh, but they were dropping balls left and right. And so at the end of the game, Caleb Williams did another last minute, touchdown drive. He ran it in. He looked great throwing the ball. But his final stat line, he had 220 yards passing and
Mhm.
one touchdown. He would have been up by 300 with a couple of touchdowns
Yep.
if the Bears just were not dropping everything. Even the defense dropped two pretty easy interceptions. But
Well, and Brian, he had 63 rushing yards. That touchdown of Williams was a
yeah,
17-yard run. I mean,
yeah,
for a
no,
QB,
he looked
that's a big run for a QB.
It looked great, but the offense looked good in the first half. Too many drops, but they had the number 10 pick, Holston Loveland. They didn't target him
Nope.
once in the first half. Second
Nope.
half, he looked great because they actually threw it to him. Roma
Yeah.
Dunze had a good day, 86 yards with the touchdown. But Olamide Zacchaeus, oh my gosh, I can't believe he didn't set a
Yeah.
record for drops. He looked terrible.
Uh,
But yeah, so but the Bears, they ran the ball well. Their defense tried their best and did as good as they're gonna. What was probably ultimately what led to let the Bears win is Jackson Dart, the Giants quarterback, a rookie who looks fantastic, by the way. Of course, I think you and I would have a day throwing against the Bears. But Jackson Dart looked great, but he ended up getting concussed at the end of the game. They had to bring in
yeah.
Russell Wilson, who is
Rusty.
Rusty's past his prime a little bit. Danger Russ, he was out. So the Bears, they were down 14 with a little over 3 minutes left in the game, and they just turned it on. And so yes, the Bears should beat the Giants at home, and they did. But this is 100% a game that under the old regime they would have lost. Ben,
100%.
yeah, Ben
How
Johnson.
was the play calling? What are you thinking of Ben Johnson and his play calling and the refs? Because you like to beat up on
Yeah,
the
you know
refs
what?
every week. So
You know what?
how are we thinking this week about the refs and how are we thinking of Ben Johnson's play calling?
I don't have a referee complaint this week. So that's nice because I don't feel good. I don't feel good blaming the refs. Ben Johnson, I mean, there were a couple of fourth downs because they can't kick. They're one, Cairo Santos, their kicker, has a noodle leg. I'm sure he's a nice person who loves his mother and goes to church on Sunday, but he cannot kick. So if you don't trust your kicker to kick a 51 yard field goal in today's modern NFL, you don't have a good enough kicker, and
Sure.
they can't trust him for that. They just can't. He's accurate, but just doesn't have the leg for it. And when he was hurt a couple games this year, they brought in Jake Moody, who looked fine, but he's got a
Yeah.
stronger leg. But the play calling, there were a couple of times on fourth down that I thought they picked odd plays. But here's the thing: Ben Johnson can't catch the ball, and neither can Caleb Williams. So the play calls were fine
Right.
with a couple of touchdowns that got dropped and some other plays where they got dropped. So overall, the culture in Chicago has changed. This is
Mhm.
this is Ben Johnson's sixth win in 9 games. It took Eberflus into like the 30s to win 6 games, and the Bears are 6-3. I don't think they've beaten anybody that they're not supposed to beat. And now they play the Vikings next week here in Minnesota, which is winnable, but they're not going to be favored. And then they go through the gauntlet, the Eagles and the Packers, and so the Bears.
Yeah.
The Bears. Here's the thing: we get the Bear fans. We just got to settle in for about a month of not being that happy. But that's why.
You come out 2-2 out of those. You
Oh
ought to
yeah,
be a happy fan, my
if they
friend.
win one. I mean, if they beat the Vikings this week, first of all, the Bears can go
I'm
one and
gonna be there, so
yeah,
we're not even gonna say that.
if the Bears go 1-15 every year and the one win is against the Vikings in Minnesota, then I'm pretty happy. So, but the Bears should have beat the Vikings in Chicago. They didn't. So we'll have to see what's going
Yeah.
there. I think JJ McCarthy will have a very good game next week because the Bears secondary is just
Yeah.
so. Asante Samuel Jr. Is back from injury and he's a free agent. And I know that the Bears have been talking to him, and he would definitely be an upgrade over
Yeah.
the third and fourth stringers that they're playing. But
For sure.
overall, Bears defense, I'll give them a C because they're trying real hard. I'll give Caleb Williams an A minus. The run game a B plus. The receivers C minus, though they were there at the end when they needed them to. But the Bears are 6-3. I'm happy. I'm not going to overanalyze it, but Caleb Williams is the quarterback that the Bears want him to be. He's
Yeah.
not going to be Peyton Manning. He's not going to be Tom Brady, but he is going to be an above average quarterback for the rest of his career. And these days, with all the misses that are happening, I'll definitely take above average.
Yeah, and obviously, our hopes for speedy recovery for Jackson Dart because the Giants, they're not going the distance this year. But they can play spoiler, and if they spoil the Packers, we're all going to be happy. But we're going to get to the Packers in a second because they play tonight. Okay, so the key cats, Lions,
Yeah,
Lions
Lions.
and Commanders. What? I mean, look, um, you know, Dan Campbell is one of my favorite people. Just a heart. I mean, man, you cannot get a better example of football than the head coach of the Lions, Dan Campbell. And I often tell you this that like I think the Steelers are my second favorite team, but my old man is from Michigan, born and raised. And so like I love the Lions and I actually love the Bears. Like if I didn't love my family, Chicago would be a place that I would like to be because I really just like the city and the close knitness of the camaraderie and community that has. But I would really love to see the Lions go the distance if it's not the Vikings because Dan Campbell is just amazing.
Well,
The
and Campbell
leadership,
Campbell took over play
play
calling.
calling. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I was just going to say. This guy knows what's on the line and knows the potential. He trusts his team. This guy goes for it on fourth down, I think, more than any other team in the league. And most of the time wins, and he owns it when he doesn't. And he stands in front of the media. He stands. I mean, he literally takes accountability, which is what you want in any leader. But he's a player's coach. I mean, the dude played and he was good. And
yeah,
so like he understands what these guys go through and he understands what it takes to be a good player in the league and he understands what it takes to be a good coach. And it devastated him to lose both Ben Johnson, his offensive coordinator, and his defensive coordinator, who's now with the Jets, and I'm drawing a blank on his name,
Eric Glenn.
Aaron Glenn. Oh wait, no, they were Bear or they were Lions. They were Lions coaches.
Yeah, yeah, Aaron
Yeah.
Glenn.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was right on that. I panicked for a second that I misspoke. But yeah, they were both Lions coordinators. So let's recap this Lions real quick. He has brand new coordinators, and it ain't working out with this offensive coordinator right now, right? And so he just said, "Yeah, let me have that after the first half," and he just starts rolling with the calls because that's what you do. A wonderful coach sees that you have to adjust, and an incredible coach says, "I ain't waiting to halftime," and he did it, and they won. They won 44-2 against 22 against the Commanders. Now, okay, the Commanders they're done for the year. I mean, they're just so beat up, so injured. Although, um, Daniels might be coming back because he didn't tear anything in that
yeah.
gruesome elbow injury. He might be
That
coming back.
watching him hurt that elbow, that's one of those things where I mean, I'm not squeamish. I don't like looking at it. It looked
No,
bad. They said he didn't break anything and didn't tear anything, but it looked
yeah,
now it's not as also not his throwing elbow, but
no.
man,
Must be nice to be 23 years old and
yeah, I
have
know.
your body be.
Yeah. But no, well, I don't know if you saw when Amon-Ra St. Brown, the wide
Yeah,
receiver for Detroit, when he scored his touchdown because they were in DC, so Trump was at the game and he did the Trump dance
yeah.
in the end zone, and a lot of people were saying that he did it in a mocking fashion, which he did. When he
Mhm.
talked about it after the game, he downplayed that a little bit, but that was actually
Well,
pretty funny. Trump got booed, which well they
mm,
they're going to probably end the shutdown now, so everyone at the game will get paid next week. So that's good for them. But yeah,
but
well
but golf,
there were some
golf
surprises this week too. I mean, Miami just took Buffalo to the woodshed, and I
surprise. That's
don't
a
understand
huge
how that
surprise.
happened
Yeah,
in
Allen played
Buffalo.
like crap.
Well, and one of the things too is that after the game, Mike McDaniel no relation, who, we talk about every week. He's not gonna get fired this year, which
Mm-mm.
maybe is why they played well this week. But he, evidently was driving himself after the game, and he drove, purposely past this huge, Bills bar and then rolled down the window and was waving to everybody, which he's lucky to get
That's
out of it.
dangerous. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
get
Bills
out of there.
Mafia, that's dangerous.
Now, one other thing too is, I have the ticket, so I got to watch the what little I watched of the Buffalo Miami game. I got to watch it on Buffalo TV, and
Nice.
they have this commercial which is adorable, where they have all these newborn babies in Bills gear, and then they like have them go through tables as babies, and it is so funny and it's so cute. So good for them on that.
We
But
should try to get a clip of that to play one of
yeah,
these
no,
days. That'd be great to see.
yeah, that's
But
super funny.
I think with the Lions, Dan Campbell just adores Jared Goff, who's like the heart and soul of that team and a really good leader in and himself. He, 25 for 25 of 33 yesterday and 250 yards and three touchdowns. Now that's having yourself a game. And
Yeah,
then your run game, you had 15 carries, but Gibbs had 142 yards and two tutties, and Montgomery had 71 yards, former Bear running back Montgomery.
didn't need them.
Um, and so didn't need him. So you did yesterday.
Yeah,
I do think that then you look at the receiving. You had 119 yards to Williams and a tutty, and then you had Amara St. Brown had 58 yards and a tutty. And so the diversity in their offensive scheme, like you definitely just know Campbell saw that and was like, yeah, it ain't cutting it. I'm taking over and just crushed it. And so like that is the one thing that is really scary about the Lions, and they're actually healthy right now, and they're going into this final stretch that I mean I am a betting person, we know that. I mean, I would bet actually on them taking the division
yeah.
because I think they have a better schedule. And I just don't think the Packers, and we're going to get into that here in a second, talking about tonight's game. I don't think they're healthy. I don't think they're experienced enough. But and I just think Dan Campbell has that team believing and has them so disciplined and consistent. And so just very impressed with the Lions this year, considering the adversity that they were facing going into the season. And I'm going to continue to say that because I was not high on them, as you know, this the first episode we did. I was like, "Oh, it's going to be a rough year for them. They're going to probably be in the bottom. They lost both their coordinators. They got kind of a banged up defense." Like, nope, they persevered and came through. And it's going to be my team, the Vikings, that are going to be in the basement, and I we'll live to die another day and another season, and we'll rebuild and do all that. But I think our season is done, and I think this is going to really be a fight between the Packers and the Lions. However, if the Bears come out with 3 or 2 wins in the next 4 games, buddy, that's something to watch.
Well,
That's
we're
not
gonna find
play
out if
around.
the Bears play to the level of their competition because, the Bears have beat last week they had that miracle win against the Bengals. This week they had a somewhat miracle game against the Giants, but, that doesn't get you enshrined in Cooperstown, beating the Bengals, and the Giants. So they're gonna be tested now, and, I'm gonna be real interested to see how it goes. I'm gonna have realistic expectations,
Mhm.
for sure. But yeah, and Gabe just told us, oh, I'm having a technical difficulty there. That is called the Bill's baptism.
There you
That's
go.
that's the name of the commercial that I loved. It's hilarious. But, is the game tonight? So Monday night, it's Eagles, Packers.
Yep,
I mean, I think the Eagles are gonna, are gonna win, but is it in Green Bay or is it in Philly?
it is in Green Bay,
Okay. Do
which
the Packers ever play on the road? Seems like every freaking
they're
game.
even on the road. I think they're even on the road. I think both teams, yeah. So I actually think the Packers are going to win because it's a home game. I think the Packers are just a better defense, but I think this is going to be an excellent game. I think this could be a precursor, possibly, of things to come if something flips with the Lions. Again, I think it's going to be in the NFC. I think there's three teams. Really, honestly, four. I'm going to throw four in here, Brian. Four. I'm going to say you got to watch the Eagles, the Packers, the Lions, and Seattle. Holy Hannah, Sam Darnold.
Yeah, no,
Anyway,
the
whew,
I watched some of that, Seattle game and, oh, they look
yeah,
but they're playing the Cardinals, but still,
yeah,
it's a division game.
yep,
Jacoby Brissett is showing
yeah,
he is a much better option for
yeah.
Arizona than Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray needs to go back and play baseball because I think his football best
Career
football
is done.
behind him, yeah.
But I don't see anybody from the South coming up. Am I missing something? I don't think anybody from the
Tampa
NFC
Bay,
South. I
Tampa
mean,
Bay,
Tampa,
I mean, they have the ability, but they're pretty
yeah.
banged up too.
And they're not consistent.
No,
They're
they
not
lost.
consistent. Yeah. And so I think like I don't think the NFC South is going to be a factor. So I think the only team anybody out of the West is Seattle. I mean, the Rams could flare. The Rams could flare, but they're also not healthy.
The
And
Niners aren't healthy. Maybe they're good if everyone comes
they're
back, but
lucky. They're
yeah,
lucky. They're lucky. So anyway, but tonight, let's talk
yeah,
about tonight. So you have the Packers that are favored by 1.5, and the Eagles are coming off a bye, and the Packers are coming off getting their butts kicked by Carolina.
Carolina.
And in that bye week though, there was some big, big, big transactions for their defense. And so they put some good veterans at linebacker and in their secondary because they too were struggling. They're mediocre. They're all like right in the middle of the road. The Eagles are for their defense. We all know the potential of their offense. I mean, you don't mess around with Jalen Hurt and
Saquon,
AJ Brown and um,
Saquon Barkley.
Saquon Barkley and Devontae Brown and Goddard. Like you just don't mess with that crew. You just don't. I mean, man, kind of sounds like the Vikings minus quarterback. But like they have a lot of tools, right? You don't mess with that. So you got to figure out your defense, and they're trying. They're trying. That's why I think you got to be worried. Um, and then let's recap because we briefly said this, and we hope he's on a really quick path to healing himself, which is Tucker Kraft from the
Yeah,
Packers. Their glorious tight end who was having a hell of a season, got hurt before Carolina, right? Before or at Carolina?
it was
Before
accurate. It was during
at
that game.
Carolina during the game. And so that's a problem. And then they're just beat up in that receiving core. I think Golden, who I have on my roster, that's why I know he's questionable. And then you have Wicks that
Yeah.
is questionable. So Love does not have really a lot of options. He is it D- Romeo Dobbs, and then
Dobbs.
of course Jacobs. And
Yeah.
so like you you don't have any tools. And then for the Eagles, Barkley, I think, was out before he's back. And then you also have AJ Brown, who was out, is now back after the bye week. So
Well, so you said you were a betting woman. Where
yes.
where where are the biggie bucks, going
Oh
tonight?
yeah. My $2 is I believe that so I just said that Jordan Love does not have many tools. And I believe that they're going to use Josh Jacobs a lot, and it ain't going to be in the passing game. I
Mhm.
think they're going to run the ball a lot. They're going to try and wear down this beat up defense, and the three veterans they put on are pretty stellar. And so I just think they're not going to want to test it with this beat up receiving core. They're too weak, and so I think Jacobs better hold up today. So I'm going to go under on 234.5 passing yards for
For Love, for
for
Jordan Love.
Jordan Love.
Yeah.
And then here's the other thing: the Pats defense, it gives up the fewest yards. They're the for rushing, and they're the top five fewest passing. They have the beast, Micah Parsons, from who got traded earlier this year for this season for Dallas from Dallas, and he's a problem. He's a problem. You got to control for him. He's a problem. So I'm gonna say that AJ Brown. I'm gonna say he is under the 4.5 receptions because I just think that uh they're gonna use Saquon a lot today, and I just think they're gonna try and use him to tire out the defense, and I think Jalen Hurts is gonna have a lot of rushing yards. I don't. I
See,
just think
and
you're gonna have to be quick. It's gonna have to be quick.
See, and I'm going the other way. So for that's where the Biggie Bucks are going. The Brian Bucks, I actually get back to Jalen Hurts. The Eagles have not been running with Hurts a lot. They've been putting him in the pocket,
Mhm.
um, the prop right now is 27.5 rushing yards. I'm going to take the under on that. They've just been doing the tush push. They have not been running him a ton. Any given game, something can happen, but I'm going to take the under on 27 and a half rushing yards. And then for the Packers prop, um, I have zero shares of Josh Jacobs as a on any of my fantasy teams, which means he scores every week, one, two, whatever it might be. So the prop of zero point 0.5 touchdowns, I'm going to take the over on that. I think that's ridiculously low. He's going to get one tonight. And it's going to be a good game. I'm looking forward to it. Thursday night's game, which was Oakland and no, L.A., Las Vegas, and Denver sucked. So I'm looking forward to some good games tonight with a good game tonight with the Packers and the Eagles. And I'm predicting an Eagles victory, but we'll see. On the road, it's going to be cold, I think. So.
Yeah, it is, and but I mean, I don't necessarily know that weather plays a factor with the Eagles or with the Packers because they both have outdoor stadiums. So that doesn't.
And
And
the and
I think they're going to come off the
football
bye
players
and
from Alabama anyway, so it's fine.
yeah, and I do think I here's the other thing I would say. So I went down that same thought process, right? And I think after a bye you reevaluate. And the fact that they haven't used Saquon has been a little bit causing consternation amongst the team, but obviously it's been a problem in their offensive scheme. And so I think they're going to try to change that today. And so I think that's why they're going to especially against a really good Packer defense.
Mhm.
So, this is good. This is good that we have this uh tension on our bets. I like
Yep,
this. Let's
yep.
see. Let's see.
All right, well, we'll be back next week, to see, how, we did on that, potentially with a special guest. I'll talk to you about that, off air, but with that, I am pretty content Bears fan, Brian McDaniel,
I'm hoping that I do not get a false start at all today, Vikings fan, Karla Bigham,
and we
and we
are
are wrong
Wrong
about
About
sports.
Sports. Thank you, Gabe.